Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Rabbi Shmuel here with Rabbi Stephen with this week's 10-minute Torah, Parashat Vayeshev. Hope you're doing well. I know things are looking a little bleak. There's been a lot of outcry and a lot of and I'm just going to say it this way, a lot of pro-Hamas rallies. And it seems very disheartening and very negative. Very, very critical, right? In fact, recently, one of the cities in California, Oakland, had a city council meeting, and they refused to pass a resolution condemning Hamas for their brutality. And you see, there are videos of people speaking, accusing Israel of killing our own people. It's very disheartening. But here's what I want to leave you with, or what I want to start this with. Every day, as we do our morning prayers, our shacharit, which is our morning service, we either end, depending on your minchag, or earlier on in the service, we do a psalm for the day. Now, this particular psalm typically reflects that particular day of creation. It was also a way of keeping track of the days, before technology, before they kept calendars. Most people are familiar with Psalm 92, which is designated as the Sabbath song, which we do Friday evening in our Ma'ariv Shabbat service or Saturday morning. We also pair that with Psalm 93, which is also the psalm for Yom Shishi, the sixth day after Shabbat, or our Friday. But there is a corresponding psalm for each one of those days. Now, the Psalms, the 90s, 92, 93, but also 90 and 91 are also done specifically on Shabbat. They're added to Shabbat because they have properties of Shabbat, rest, creation, the freedom from slavery in Egypt. And then the Psalms 95 to 99 are Psalms that we do Kabbalat Shabbat for our Ma'ariv Shabbat, our Friday night Shabbat service. Now, I mentioned the Psalms that are in the 90s because these are Psalms that are attributed to Moshe Rabbeinu. King David, as the story goes, was exploring the catacombs beneath his palace, and he came upon some writings that were attributed to Moshe Rabbeinu, and he converted them, or he used them as inspiration for those particular Psalms. Psalm 94 is the psalm for Wednesday, Yom Revi'i, the fourth day after Shabbat. And I'm going to read this to you as sort of an inspiration, and you'll see what I mean. Psalm 94. O God of vengeance, Hashem, O God of vengeance, appear. Arise, O judge of the earth, repay the haughty. Until when shall the wicked, Hashem, until when shall the wicked rejoice? They speak freely. They utter malicious falsehood. They glorify themselves, all workers of iniquity. They crush your nation, Hashem, and they afflict your heritage. They kill the widow and the stranger. They murder the orphans. And they say, God will not see, nor will the God of Jacob understand. Understand? You boors among the people, and you fools, when will you gain wisdom? He who implants the ear, shall he, Hashem, not hear? Hashem who fashions the eye, shall Hashem not see? Hashem who chastises nations, shall Hashem not rebuke? Hashem who teaches mankind knowledge, humankind knowledge. Hashem knows the thoughts of humankind, that they are futile. Praiseworthy is the person whom God disciplines and whom you teach from Torah, to give us rest from the days of evil, until a pit is dug for the wicked. For Hashem will not cast off his people, nor will Hashem forsake his heritage. That was written 3,000 years ago. Rings true today, doesn't it? So let's use that as some inspiration. Okay, so let's talk about this week's portion. And as you see, Torah is timeless. Maybe people just don't learn. Maybe we're facing the same things over and over again until we defeat evil. Who knows? But let's look at this week's portion, Vayeshev. Now, Vayeshev, he settled. Shev is the word for sit, settled, stayed. So Jacob and his family now settle, And Jacob's favorite son is Joseph, the son of his favorite wife, Rachel. And Joseph makes no concern. He doesn't make it hidden that he and his father Jacob rather, are sitting home studying while the rest of the family's out working. And what makes matters worse is that Joseph has the gift of prophecy, which he lords over his brothers, having two dreams where, they all have sheets of wheat, and the sun and the moon and the stars all bow down to him. So the brothers, of course, are understandably outraged. And Joseph now is sent to look after his brothers, and his brothers conspire. They want to kill him. Reuben and Judah each take turns in working to prevent this from happening. So they throw him into a pit. They're looking to sell him off to slavery while they're busy eating, and he's suffering in the pit. A group of Midianites come by, see him, grab him, and they do their work. They take him to Egypt and sell him into slavery, and thus Joseph's adventures in Egypt begin. So there is a part here, a portion of our Parsha that focuses on Judah, and this is our triennial reading. Now, in the Torah, the sages say, unless it's specified, or unless you have other reason to believe, you accept the flow of the Torah as chronology, as the flow of time. So some sages, of course, feel that what we're going to discuss happened before all this happened. Other sages say, well, it's natural to think that this happened after, because Judah leaves his family and goes off and joins into a business venture with an Edolamite, another tribe person. He also marries his daughter and has 3 sons. Oldest son is Er, whom he marries off to this woman Tamar. And Er is wicked in God's eyes, so Er dies. And he dies without an heir. Er dies without an heir. Er dies without an H-E-I-R, heir. So according to the ancient tradition in the Middle East, there is this thing called the Levirate marriage, which means that the next of kin, a brother, or if there's no brother or cousin, would marry the widow and have relations with her and thus produce an heir who would be the heir to the deceased brother. But in Kabbalah, it's also the reincarnation of the deceased person. So it's very important. The next in line is Onan. And I'm not going to go into the significance of Onan. Some of you know about it already. But let's just say that Onan fails to complete his obligation, and God does away with him as well. So the next son is Shelah, who is too young to actually mate or to do the Levirate obligation, fulfill the Levirate obligation with Tamar. And Judah says to Tamar, when Shelah is old enough, then we'll deal with it. In the meantime, it's kind of taken for granted that Judah is still kind of suspicious of Tamar, that, wow, there's been 2 of my sons have died, lest I give her Shelah, and Shelah dies too, and I have no heirs. What am I going to do? So he delays, and Tamar is still mourning. Now, as the patriarch of the family, as the chieftain, Judah has the right to tell Tamar, you don't get married until I tell you to. And this carries a very severe penalty. But Tamar realizes that she needs to fulfill this obligation to give her deceased husband an heir. So she takes off her clothes of widowhood, dresses up like a harlot, covers her face, and apparently they say this is what they did back then. She entices Judah to sleep with her because Judah lost his wife as well. He doesn't know who this woman is, and she says, do you have payment for me? He says, well, I will bring you a goat. In the meantime, take my cord, my staff, and my signet ring as kind of security, and I will bring back the goat. She takes it and disappears, and he's, left hanging. So he is later on told that his daughter-in-law defied his order to remain a widow until he was able to provide a suitable husband, and she is now pregnant. So he is ready to deliver the death penalty to her, which was the penalty back then. And he says, who was it that got you pregnant? And she says, well, it's whoever she produces the signet ring, the cord, and the staff. And Judah says, I guess it was me. And he admitted it. Now, here's the contrast. Judah, on the other hand, conspired with his brothers. Even though he prevented Joseph from actually being killed, he still was responsible for Joseph being sold into slavery. Yet, some sages feel that, well, it contrasts with the fact that Joseph may have been righteous and Judah wasn't. Other sages, and I agree with this, give us an opportunity to see that Judah engaged in teshuvah. He repented. He was contrite. He saw the error of his ways, and he was able to develop or portray his integrity and his characteristic. And of course, he said Tamar was right in what she did, and now he has heirs. So while the parsha is Vayeshev, Judah, as we see, engaged in teshuvah, which means he returned back to his Torah and to his integrity. Let us all take Judah's example, and let us see that we can all return to integrity, and let us take heart that Hashem is watching us. We'll bear it out, we'll remain strong to our heritage, and things will work out. Shabbat Shalom.